Tonight, the topic is really about the foundation of our trading success, which is learning to develop and use the trader brain, okay? You will not need your actual brain that you use every day. You won't need your brain to be a trader, your actual brain, okay? You will not need to be smart to be a trader. So let's do this. Your brain versus the markets. This is a map of French Canada. Okay, so I was born in the middle of Quebec City and Montreal. After that, I moved to Montreal, and then I moved to Belgium, and then I came back and I live in Quebec City near the beautiful St. Lawrence River. During my bachelor degree at University of Montreal, I was a neuropsychologist working to assess brain function after concussions in sports. So I worked with football players from the university, but I also worked with the Canadian Habs, so the hockey team in Montreal, to assess brain function at the beginning of the season and also after a concussion. So that was very fun. Also, I published my first scientific paper in 2012 where we were following old athletes and testing their sense of smell. It sounds weird, okay, but after sustaining many concussions, you are damaging your brain cells, and then your sense of smell can be impacted, and the sense of smell is a great tool to predict the early stages of dementia. Okay, so be careful. If you cannot smell properly, you could become demented. No, I'm kidding. But again, okay, that's a tool to assess the early signs of a potential dementia in older adults that have sustained multiple concussions with loss of consciousness. Okay, there's different types of concussions. I'm talking about the intense stuff, okay? All right, so this is what I did during my bachelor. I had lots of fun. Then I moved to Belgium. I moved to Liège, Belgium, because I wanted to work in the best team in the world on the study of consciousness. I had lots of fun. I stayed there for 11 years, and the hospital that I was working in was in the middle of this beautiful forest. Okay, so Liège, if you haven't visited Belgium already, I highly recommend. It's a beautiful country. People are amazing. So that was the hospital. What I did during my PhD, so I did my bachelor at University of Montreal, and then I moved because I wanted to see something else and work with the best team. I was trying to find consciousness in people that have had a severe coma after a cardiac arrest or a car accident or whatever it is. So we were really trying to find consciousness in people that couldn't talk. Okay, they couldn't move sometimes, they couldn't talk, they couldn't open their eyes. So we were using all kind of machines to see the consciousness, okay? After that, I was working in intensive care for about 2 to 3 years, and it's not your book, Dr. Reed. No, it's Ring. I just read Reed. So I was working in intensive care, and I had a lot of patients coming back from their coma and talking about these near-death experiences. So because I was testing and working with the cognitive functions after a coma, I began and studied the content of these memories, and I was putting the content of their memories with brain scans to try to identify what could lead to a near-death experience in the brain. Why some people have a near-death experience after a cardiac arrest or an accident and some people don't. Okay, what kind of consciousness do we need to have access to these amazing experiences, life-changing memories? So that was that. So part of my PhD was on the study of near-death experiences and also the cognitive functions after a coma. So this is a scientific paper that we published in 2024. So it took a while, okay? Research can be slow. So that study, we were trying to reproduce a loss of consciousness in a healthy way, okay, because we cannot make people have a near-death experience and then record their brain activity, right? That would be unethical. So we were making medical students faint, okay, through the Valsalva maneuver. So they were fainting, and then we were recording their brain activity with this cap having 256 electrodes. So we could see what happens in people having memories after they're fainting and some that could not have those memories. So again, trying to find the neural signature of these amazing memories that should not be formed because we're supposed to be unconscious. Okay, so that was very, very interesting. And we could find that brain activity was different in specific rhythms and regions according to the memories that were recalled. Then I began to work in all of the hospital wards. I became a chief of clinic and I had my team of 50 psychologists working with every kind of patients. And I became also a hypnotherapist and a mindfulness instructor. So as you can see here, I was having groups with children twice a week and we were doing mindfulness exercises. So I really like this picture because, I mean, it never happened, right? The kids were all over the place. That is my son back in the days. The kids were all over the place all the time. That was so challenging, okay? Not as trading, but close enough, okay? You have to manage 10 kids and you're trying to do relaxing mindfulness activities. So that was very interesting. So that is my background. This is where I come from. One of my good friend end of 2021, when I was back in Canada, introduced me to swing trading. He said he was trading during COVID and he showed me what trading was, and I got super interested because I was always passionate by the financial markets. I was always putting some money on the side, you know, buying a little shares here and there when I was a student. So I was following a little bit the markets and I got so stoked about it. So that was me, right? Super happy. Trading is going to be fun. I will make a lot of money. I just need to short or to buy. That's going to be awesome. Also, my curse was that I started trading when it was a bear market and I was shorting indices. I started trading with futures actually, and I was just shorting, you know. And just when I think about it now, I'm so scared. I had no idea what I was doing. So I was reading stuff on the side. I had a day trading book, you know, thinking about day trading stocks, but, you know, I was also looking at futures swing trading. And so I was doing both in parallel, but nothing very serious. And then in May 2022, I decided to try for real. So that was me, not 4 hours later, because I got lucky in the beginning. But like 4 months later, that was me. I was in shock because I knew how to make money, but I didn't know how to lose money. Okay, I really didn't know how to lose my money. Yes, that was brutal. That was with real capital, because nobody told me that it was a good idea to sim trade. Right. I think my brain looked so much worse than that. I was devastated. Okay. I was starting to trade with real money too soon without knowing what I was doing. Okay. So this is one of my early charts. I have like 6 lines next to each other. Oh, and I have the cams there. Wow. And I have another green line above R3. Okay, so I have some kind of confluence there. I mean, what the hell is that? No trend line, right? Back in the days. But a lot of moving averages. And VWAP is there too. And I have so many colors. It's like a disco chart. And also, if you can look at it, look at my executions. Like I see this is a 1 minute chart. Yeah, this is a 1 minute chart. I'm just buying because that's a white candle, and I'm adding to my losing position right here. And then I finally decide that it's not a good thing to be long. And then I think, okay, this time this is the bottom. So, okay, now it's the bottom. No. Okay, now it's the bottom. Yes, it's the bottom. So I don't take profit, okay, but I step out on break even here, and then I go long, and then I take profit. What the hell is that? Bonjour, Market Alchemist. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. We've come to the end of this episode, but your journey doesn't stop here. Make sure to watch the next video in the series, and don't forget to like and subscribe.